I went on about because he
Not all of you know everybody, and so we're going to introduce a little bit, make some introductions. We have over in the corner here my neighbor, Chloe Cleveland. She lives up on Vista Circle, or actually on the Valley View, but she's here to talk and uh, present some present some information. Party many meetings from my house. I party there every. We also invited Jim Innes. How do you know Jim? If you don't, you need that. So he is a 10 plus year member of this committee. He doesn't know that, but he is. So he comes from law enforcement background, if I'm right, if I remember right, and was a great advisor to this group in my early city council days, and has some wisdom that we appreciate in this group. So thanks, Jim, for coming. We also have some interesting questions to ask him later in the meeting. We are going to quit at 9:30, no matter how far we are through the agenda. We're going to quit at 9:30. So Jim, I don't know if you want me to introduce anybody else. That's our new city engineer, fire chief, Ted Mickelson. John and Rachel are with our fire department. Rachel's our EMS captain, so she has big shoes.
yes.
Big shoes. Yeah. And we have Brian Hutchings. He's where are you, Brian? He's
I'm a possible future council member.
we found out tomorrow if he was elected or not. So he's he's a he's an interesting fellow. He's a big asset to the city.
Go to the guy.
Well, yes. And then Sergeant Benson to my left, he promoted me today. Yes, there's a lieutenant Benson. He's my favorite cop, so we're glad you're here. We're gonna give him lots of items to work on today, hopefully. He was so
Work so that then we can campaign that you need to be full-time skier. Shit. Yeah, whatever.
so that everybody knows, I don't like to schedule meetings just because it's a meeting and we need to do it every so often. I would like to inform you that if you give me agenda items, I'll collect them. And when there's 2 or 3 agenda items, we'll schedule a meeting. So that's how I want to run it, but I don't want to go longer than 6 weeks. We really need to talk more often than we have. Right. Jim, when I see you last 2010. Okay, be quiet. Okay. So just so you know, if you go to our city's website, there's a section on public safety. So yeah, look at that. Sometime it's got some information. We're gonna Carrie talk about a future evacuation practice when she arrives. So we'll come back to item 3. Let's talk about no parking after dark. A while back, keeping got us some signs and we put them up in the city. And those signs have a short life. We've replaced them several times, and my friend Chloe calls me a few times a month, and It says it's really, I almost said, yeah. And
You know, money, but the end of your street there.
and she has a,
Down disappeared.
she has a legitimate request, you know, and that is to try and let her kids sleep at night, you know, without all the noise and partying and music and screaming and whatever's going on up on Vista. We lost the sign, and so she asked, and I tried to put it off because I'm like that. I knew we didn't have any signs, and so she suggested, and it was a good one, that we get a sign and put it back up. So I came to the city center. I found a sign that said no parking beyond this point.
And you know
So-
where it came from?
And so probably,
It was down on Phelps property, down there just below my house, it's on the side of the road.
Yeah.
It got tore down and wow.
well, the sign was beat up and now I painted it and it says no parking after dark. And it's ugly, but it means it's messy.
Was it like, Sharpie?
It's ugly. If you say,
It's not reflective anymore.
oh, I don't care. If you stay way back like at Chloe's house, it says pretty, no parking after dark. You get it close, you think a grade schooler made it, but anyway, it's an important effort to try and get people to quit.
Can I mention something with those? I wonder if there's a way we can, because I have that down at the bottom of the Eagle Nest below our house, also that's been that same sign there, no parking. after dark.
Yes.
You have no sign,
I have no sign. It disappears every month.
the whole post.
The whole post, the sign, everything's gone. And it happens monthly. They go down there and tear it out.
I've seen them do it once.
Yeah, I did too. I had to actually have about 3 sheriffs came up one night and just after a bunch of kids because they were sitting there with their trucks trying to tear it out. I saw it flying. This was probably a couple of years ago, but
Yeah,
and they usually throw it down in the trees, so we've been gathering it up again.
Right.
yeah.
So it's somewhere around in the city or before.
It's in down below.
Yeah.
We got it.
Oh,
We
good.
just need to put it back in.
I'm wondering if there's a way we could cement those, is what I'm wondering. On the bottom.
They are not submitted.
Yeah.
No,
There's plenty of dirt.
he can still run over a chief.
I think you can get one of those sleeves, cement it in. And lock it, and then if they break it, you just pull that out and do it in, then you don't have to keep redoing the whole.
Well, that's what it is now. They take the sleeve and put it down the ground. And what we need to do is cast that sleeve down in.
Okay.
And then we need to find a locking bolt, because they cut the bolt off sometimes, and then pull the sign out, and leave the sleeve. I've seen that before. So if we can find maybe even just some way just to keep them so we can not down their mouth.
But you have Vista, you have Eagle Nest. I don't know if the Deep Forest. will
There's a couple others, but they've never been destroyed that I'm aware of.
Vista and Eagle's Nest seem to be the two that are more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think on yours, the wind blows it,
I don't know.
and then
Yeah,
once one
no.
the bolt will come off, and we've caught
Oh.
kids, they've been caught.
Yeah,
And what?
yeah, they're like, I'm tightening it.
Oh.
They're like, moving away.
Oh, my God.
We'll take it and we'll wiggle it until we get it off.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
When the kids are caught, does the district attorney prosecute them?
no,
So there's only one time that we had a resident that caught some kids, got their license plate number. I got the following day from the resident, went and talked to him, and then the city decided that they would have those kids put the sign back up. And then they're doing community service for us, they're gonna be paying the the storage shed down by that salt shed.
So, interesting.
This is not at the time.
Why?
I talked to Corbett and Jody, and it just came down, they wanted. The kids to be talked to and then do community service. I was ready to sign up for it, but
They have been cited before, but rarely, at least to my knowledge. And boy, when they cited the kids that one night,
we're not trying.
it was good for months, but
I think you need to slide them for a while.
they paid a fine.
I don't have a problem signing.
No,
Well,
well, if they're just parked there and being loud, there's nothing that they're legally doing wrong, right? If they're stealing a sign, that's one thing, that's public property.
well, Chloe, there is,
But if
They're
it's,
a nuisance with their radio blasts and things like that, like that's.
so when I called in the past, because it'll be like 2 AM on a Tuesday. And I can my windows are vibrating and I'm like, can't sleep. And of course, my bedroom and my kids' bedrooms are the two that are closest to the back bottom of my house. which is excellent. And I've called before and I've spoken to someone who was very, very kind, but he was like, I just went over there. I told them to leave. I asked them to leave. And sometimes I'll either march my little self down through the mud, or I will like holler out my window, like, please turn it down. But when someone comes out, they're usually like, well, they're not really breaking a law. They're just being too loud. So I ask them to turn it down. And then sometimes they turn it down, but it's, within and creeps back up again. Yeah, creeps back up again. Sometimes they leave and then they come back. Sometimes it takes like an hour and a half before the officers actually get here, and it's already 2, and then I'm up until 3:30 and having lots of painful thoughts. So it's like the nuisance, although annoying, they don't really have a punishment other than no more, right? Because it's not like they're doing anything illegal.
Usually on situation like that with loud noise, we'll try to give warning,
Yeah.
tell us to turn it down or leave the area.
It's not like they're not allowed to park there.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, after dark, they're not supposed to, but it's not like there's like a $50 fine or anything that would be like, as a teenager, that would be.
Well, there's a fine attached to the no parking.
Is there? Do you know how much it is?
Yes.
Is there a city ordinance?
There is, yeah, that's what we're signing under, is the city ordinance.
You know what the city or which ordinance it is? I was looking for it, I couldn't find it, but
That's why we-
ordinances do not make
We
it
put
easy.
signs in.
Yeah, we-
could enforce that.
Yeah, or we could even put on the sign, because I feel like if we've had a monetary amount already and we could put that on the sign, like a 19-year-old is gonna be like, I don't wanna spend $50 in parking here. They think it's free.
Yeah. I see sometimes they come in the daylight, early evening, and then I say to myself, oh, I hope they leave after it's dark.
Yeah,
And they don't
yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
so. Carrie, we're the chair.
Yes, today. I am.
So we're talking about parking after dark around the city. So we just find a lot of mischief
Yeah.
and a lot of garbage left.
Oh my gosh, wine
So-
box, glass.
And who knows what,
I've caught some of things.
Yeah,
That's for Halloween.
And it's just a mess, so.
Uh-huh.
So, but everybody be aware, we've turned our attitude a little bit on.
Just ran across in his pajamas.
What's my name?
So, yeah, Jim.
There's a premise in law enforcement that lack of enforcement. Just encourages violation of the law. And we all do that when we're on the freeway. And that's because of lack of enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, a lot of them are very friendly when I holler down there and I'm like, please stop. They're like, okay, we're sorry, we didn't know you could hear us, because I mean, our house is kind of far away. And they're really like, about half of them are really kind about it. And some of them leave, like they're really nice. But then there are other ones that like holler back curse words at me and like threaten my house. We know where you live.
If we do it across the board, they'll start talking to each other.
The kids talk.
Yeah, they talk to each other.
Kids
they'll
know
go
that
turn
the
it up.
Anagram fast is a makeup point. Every kid in high school knows about it.
So
Because
what if they're
they know it's a drug place, they know it's a
And we'll
sex
stop.
place.
Yeah,
It's also true that most drunk drivers are nice people too.
that'd be fair.
So, so that's the other thing that goes on is they spend time down on my property
Mhm.
and I put a camera on my property. I was trying to catch some deer and it was really great. And on this camera, these 2 boys are back there running around with their shirts off, this is in the middle of the day, but they're on my property. And so, if they asked, I'd probably let them, but it was just a surprise to me. And my wife had a fit when there's people right out our bedroom window, flew way down there, wandering around. And so I had a suggestion to Chloe, and I wanted to say this in front of the police officer here. I'm willing to put an electric fence up there. I'll buy all
It's 10,000 bucks.
the materials, but I need an extension cord to run it,
Sure.
if we ever wanted to do something like that. I did put an alarm in there.
Yeah.
And it lasted a couple of years, but they've
Sure.
destroyed that, they busted that down, so.
Sure.
Anyway, let's keep thinking of.
And the other thing is, several times, during the last couple of years, every 2 or 3 months, we put something in the newsletter that says, stay off of other people. Our kids aren't reading, but for the parents, we actually targeted the parents a little bit on one and saying, hey, talk to
Talking
kids.
kids.
Yeah.
Talk
I don't
to
think-
kids if they're living here now, if they're not living here, which is most of the offenders, I would imagine that come up to the woods, right? Do you think that there would be, like our fire signs that say high fire danger, don't, no open flames, could we put something?
They're not gonna care. They're not gonna care till you cite them and their parents have to like.
And that's,
If I get people citing, I promise they would never forget.
You know, do you cite and how do we acknowledge, because it's like all the time, you always say, take a picture of the license plate, but some of these kids don't have a license plate to take a picture of.
Well, if we get a license plate, that helps, because that's what, the last time we had a sign tape, and that's how we were able to talk to them.
But I meant for trespassing.
For trespassing, if you don't have a vehicle, I mean, the description's the best. Obviously, sometimes by the time we get up here, I realize we don't, that's like, if you can take a picture and get a good picture, well, we can put it out on our social media site. That's helped us solve the crime up in Sundance.
All that with those 10
Yeah,
kids.
the parents saw it and, oh crap. But yeah, if they're caught, yeah, citations can be issued to juvenile. The state's really iffy if they're under age 12 right now. These are older.
but at least it gets to the parents.
Yeah.
And put the, they're fine, they're scared, they're not trying to stop, they're driving nearby.
If we're gonna put something out, what is the citation? I mean, it's trespassing, so it's not,
If they're on someone's property, they're not supposed to be on that trespassing. If it's parking, then the city ordinance. We actually have there's 4 offenses, so each time, if they're cited the first time, then the second time the fine is gonna be more expensive.
what is the fine?
That,
That's what I.
there's a fee schedule. And that goes through the courts, not through me.
Sure, right.
Because they're the ones that do it. I thought it was. Where's Jody Sheen?
Usually a citation that the court take care of.
There is a fine associated with it.
Hmm.
I don't-
That's through the county.
These kids all
It's a
talk to
city
each other.
ordinance. It's a city ordinance.
They'll park,
Right.
so right one of them side of them, they'll all talking to each other and they'll go.
They take a few weeks, but the renewals for
If you do it across the board,
no exceptions.
The
Yes.
problem is it's tough. Parking is not an urgent call for the sheriff's department.
no,
No.
no, right?
And so we don't have that. Vandalism is for sure. I mean, it's not going to supersede something that's emergent, right? But it's, yeah, if we can get a license plate, those are gonna be ideal.
That helps. I go up.
Yeah.
With camera that I can see.
Yeah, you would, I see your camera.
I have, and I got like a big red spotlight that's.
Her camera's bigger than.
Does that, can you give her the name of who they are? 'Cause wait, I go talk to their parents
Yeah.
and be like, look, this what's going on.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't give you the.
You go talk.
I'll go talk to them.
Oh.
You give me the license plate, then you'll figure out who it is.
Interview, so.
Yeah. If I did that, you'd be emailing me every day. Can you do this?
Yeah.
It's but so hard.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
I'm leaving that up.
You know, as a matter of fact, that signs meet state requirements.
They meet our ordinances, we specifically wrote something in our rules of our city that the signs enforce.
Yeah, but my question is, do the signs meet the requirements?
Like height and.
Yeah, do you have to state what the ordinance is or?
Oh, we don't have that on there.
We put like a.
I don't really know what the requirements are.
Yeah, we should.
I was just wondering, is that do that?
Take it more seriously.
Not.
Or
They-
on the bottom, like you see in some,
Yeah, I thought of
the ones that
G-Force, I thought we had.
Forest has them.
Has an ordinance.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know about the ones on the.
They don't. I mean, you just put one up. I'm grateful it's got a sign at all right now. So.
it's spray painted one.
Yeah, it's better than that
beautiful,
sign.
beautiful.
Is that something that goes through U ten on signage? Cause that was Craig and Corbett were the
Yeah.
Yeah.
signage.
Please.
Okay,
What I can also do, I mean,
It's just
obviously
expensive.
2 o'clock in the morning, we know the response time can be a little bit. 'cause
Yeah.
I guess we
that
No,
is
right.
Covering the whole county at that time.
I was gonna try.
They're like, they're in Leland.
Sorry,
I'm like,
that-
oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
But should we
try
have
to
people
increase it.
still call every time they see somebody? I mean, like, to Brian's point, you're not gonna run out to everybody, but
Yeah.
at the same time. We have people who have, let it go, let it go, let it go, and now they're getting angry and they're like, well, check this, right?
That, so. Call it in and. The thing is, it's, I understand it, please. You make it a week down everything.
We realize that we just want to.
And so what I can do is I can, and I've tried to inform them, hey, here's. The city ordinances we can enforce, and I always tell them, if you have any questions regardless of what time it is.
Yeah.
Call me or text me,
Sure.
probably call me so I can hear it.
These are my people.
So I have a sergeant's meeting coming up here. Soon, but I'll get an email out to you and then I'll refer that to the sergeants, please. If we learn something, go up and check it out, and if it's something that's. That I need to be aware of. I try to look and see all the calls that come in through the week or the days to see what's new there.
So is she call you all too? So should I not just be harassing Dora, but also calling and letting you all know which one is down? Like,
Yeah, just call non-emergency.
Yes.
It's after dark, they're.
but is that something that would help us for like records?
Yes, I think so. Yes, it's not, we have a record of.
Okay.
but I don't know how prevalent it is, but it'd be easier for you if you could just go back to sleep and not stay up and wait for an answer. Anyway.
I just thought of it, it just. Doesn't.
And I don't-
call it.
Joel, I don't know if our ordinance says this or not, but it might actually be beneficial if allowed. If that sign, if we had signs that said, no parking after dark, city ordinance fines up to,
Yeah.
and then we state the maximum fine
Yes.
that can be assessed. $250, and then they're gonna go, holy crap, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
If that's legal, we need to make sure that that's legal and it meets state requirements.
Sure, and that's,
I think that's an encouragement.
and that goes through the city attorney.
Yeah.
So,
So we gotta ask the city attorney for that one.
Well, yeah.
See an increase when it's winter or a decrease, I would seem like a decrease. Because of snow, but also they advise increase because they can sled and snowshoe and everything else.
And in the winter.
Bring out like entire grills. They like
Yeah.
truck with
Yeah.
grill and that one too. Yeah.
Look,
I mean, not. They'll sleep there overnight. Listen, I throughout and spend the night, but
It's just okay.
I would say rain or dives just a little bit, because.
My windows are usually closed and I care less. But
Yeah, they don't,
That's-
you got run around, snowing and stuff, but. But I think we just look into the sign and the shoe and the sign, I mean,
This side,
What,
The code
what
is
does,
not-
what all-
Woodland Hills.
I see people pull down, put their headlights right on the sign, and say,
so, but there's a reason,
signs costs?
I don't know.
there's a reason for it being that side.
they were like. There are hundreds,
They're not cheap.
yeah, because they're the stuff, they're not like hundreds and hundreds.
No, I
Are
thought.
they more than hundreds?
You need a longer pole to get it for 50.
Corey told me
So
that
they can't pull it.
the,
Is it colored?
told me that no parking, like, when we were looking at the cost of it, for my report, he's like, they're like $50 to $80.
I'm guessing probably
For that sign.
just a sign and you have
Then you
to.
got your pole.
But you guys just need to order some. Council needs to go up a few bucks, so you have some here that you can replace them.
But we've also had a problem, probably about 2 months ago, we had stop signs and street signs taken off.
Stop sign at the bottom of Grizzly coming down Grizzly.
Yeah,
Just,
that's right.
I don't even know if it's back.
Both directions.
It's not in your department. Yeah.
It's, yeah, the stop sign.
Come down Grizzly, stop sign.
Trying to keep our water safe right now.
I can quit on his first day.
I should have said the thing, guys, when I got a text this morning from Dave, listening to all the stuff for the plow trucks. Welcome to your first day.
That's my texting.
Yeah, they can work on signs, I'll work on enforcement.
Everyone remember,
And just know when if you see something.
on July 4th, we've kind of loosened our attitude about that particular, and we do put a bag over the sign. We
Yeah,
put a bag over the
24.
sign and let people park there, so keep that in mind.
So-
Until they abuse it,
Carrie,
people are usually.
where is our emergency management department on the neighborhood watch? Because that was what originally started, and I'm kind of curious of,
I don't think that's on the agenda.
no, this is part of the signs.
Okay.
Because our neighborhood watch, if I remember when I did neighborhood watch years and years ago, we would take pictures if we saw something. We actually were issued cameras to take a picture of license plates if we saw something suspicious. I don't know if that's still,
Everybody has.
Yeah, cell phones.
yeah, but this has been many, many, many years.
Yes.
So there's about, just over 10 neighborhood watch signs throughout the city that've been here for years. Some of them are pretty worn down. Yeah. They're around. Spencer Wells is the coordinator
Yes.
of that, and I just answer questions
Yeah.
for him.
I've not seen anything where we're recruiting for it or anything's happening. It was worked in my community when I did it years ago. It worked really well.
We've been focusing a little bit on that. We've been working with the sergeant on getting our documentation finished. We're modeling it kind of after what he did with.
So we have a booklet that we pass out to those that want to be a part of it, and then they have to go through a background
And
check.
they've been meeting once a month. And they did one on the same night that we did our meet the candidate, they did as security.
Yes, but that wasn't, I mean, I wasn't able to make it unfortunately, but that wasn't about neighborhood watch and meeting doesn't get people out on the streets doing the neighborhood watch. So,
Solely neighborhood watch. I think that way more people would be interested if it was not under like the Be Ready. They're like, I don't want to be part of that committee or whatever, but just neighborhood watch. I think a lot of people will get behind that but not.
They don't want too much, just.
They don't want too much, right? They don't want to go. I don't want to I don't want to be prepared with the hills or whatever, but like.
willing to donate time to drive around the city.
Like I want to keep my city safe, and so do one specific meeting or something just specific for that.
In the neighborhood watch program, they suggest every quarter to have one 4 times this.
But I just mean not as.
We'll schedule it for
Right now, it's like once a month, sometimes twice. More for the ready than we do the effort.
Yeah.
Because when we've had them back to back, and Woodland Hills neighborhood watch meeting is usually the last one, and by then everyone's.
ready to go.
It-
Yeah, they
So
did.
it's probably not 50% of our crime in the community that I lived in when I volunteered for it. We actually probably dropped 50% in crime because we had people out 24 hours a day.
Well, and and to be fair, the one that they had a couple of weeks ago was about safety. It was part of neighborhood watch on how do you prepare your own home? How do you look and be aware of what's around so that you would know your neighbors, understand what you should be looking for. And that person who came in to do the training was, had been doing quite a bit with Neighborhood Watch just to help people. And it was a medium turnout, but I think we could schedule those once a quarter and we'll start with January. Yeah.
And there's some new signs that when we look at for neighborhood watch, they're kind of blue.
Didn't we get
Little
more
money
money for
We
neighborhood
got like
watch?
eyeballs.
Neighborhood
I
Watch.
thought there was money specifically for neighborhood watch.
No.
I thought there was a grant that we were.
Yeah.
Unless Spencer's looking at one.
No, I thought that was from the very beginning why we went to the emergency management department to get money because it started out as
Well, we
neighborhood
did.
watch.
That wasn't for, no, it didn't start as Neighborhood
Yeah, it
Watch.
did. Neighborhood watch, this city council voted in a committee for neighborhood watch, period. Then later, and I can pull up the times if you want, but then later, the city made the emergency management department that included neighborhood watch. I was there. I remember this. So it started, just like Dave said in another meeting, started with neighborhood watch, and then it became, oh, we need to have a department. And that's how.
Okay,
So
let's.
I think
let's to get to the.
80s.
We're digressing. I apologize.
Here,
Yeah.
Let's go back to the agenda.
Like see something.
Yeah.
Which was, yeah.
So that's the only thing for tax grants for first, okay, so
Want to move on to number 5, at the last council meeting, it was reported that there is progress in our camera installation in the
Yes.
city.
That's what I understand.
So be aware of that. I also have.
What's the end plan for
I
cameras?
don't
I know they're trying to get it.
So they're putting them in, I think it's 4 or 5 locations. They've got the one up at the tank done,
Is that like up and running then?
that's up and running.
Thank you for.
And I think they've got one there that's now building.
Needs something.
They were planning to put a lot of booster stations or Maples maybe one, and then
You can stay too.
Maple Mount or Maple
Maple Court.
Cane. They've
Yeah.
got
City facilities.
city facilities for security. They've got, I think, 2 of them done last I heard. So,
Do we
We'll find out
know,
Wednesday.
yeah, we're supposed to, like, some of these recording, so they may not go in all areas.
do we know? Cause I know Dave Stone wants access to the one at the water tower, and one of these others just for us in the snow. Cause here's what happens.
Working on that.
Here's what happens. I'm on at 3 a.m. and I usually get a text from him at 2:20 in the morning. Hey, what's like in front of your house? We need to go out. Well, guess what happens? I don't get back to. I would like to know that Dave could access the camera, and then when he texts me, so my text this morning at 5:20 for 6 was, hey, what's it like out there? Guess what my text was here about 5 minutes ago, everybody's saying, hey, what's it like out there? I'd like to know what's the cameras running, if he or a couple people on the plowing could have access to those, it will answer a lot of.
Kind of worst thing from there, you know, like, they'd be very information you should have. This camera has the worst fix in this meeting.
Okay, those, we kind of gauge our plowing on what is happening. in it.
Okay, so.
Anyway,
Or
Can
shit,
it be hardwired or can they be controlled?
they're
hardwired.
I think they're all being run on that.
so they have to be locations where he has fiber.
We don't have one down on Willow Reed, do we?
No.
No. It'd be really cool to have.
It's like,
a city,
I
so
agree. Yeah,
You could catch criminals that way.
yeah.
So are these nice 8K high resolution cams?
When they wanted to know where one, they were gonna, where they were thinking of putting one down by the mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and can you aim it towards it, sees Woodland Hills and 11200.
Remember,
Right.
public property.
Yes. Yeah.
Any private property. Do we know if the one here at the city center
It
was
is.
fixed?
It is not it's not on their website, so.
What's what?
The one down there, yeah.
Is it gonna be working?
I was hoping.
People look at that. yeah. Do we know resolution on these cameras for law enforcement?
I thought the person.
No.
It just barely got, so it went down, they got it up and running last week, it went down because of some issues, coordination issues between the camera guy and the
Server.
radio guy. Oh, so we can get our radios up there for our radio.
So there, I'm sure the.
We got that worked out.
My vote for the city council would have been to kick extra funds available and do a higher resolution camera, because it might help him on his job. with some of these situations.
I don't know what.
Hey, it's probably too late now, whatever you ordered to order.
We ordered them like 3 years ago, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, then they're probably dying.
But these they changed,
I think
they changed recently, right?
They ordered them, we have a contract, and then the guy didn't bring them.
Okay.
But anyway.
Wow, it was a mess.
Let's move on to number 6.
Yeah.
I attended the security meeting that was. Spencer Wells helped organize that, and it was a very good meeting. People were really, there were a lot of people here attending. But I want to just make everyone in this group aware that I was bothered by all of the weapons on the front table with ammo right with them. And all of these weapons are laying there and people are picking them up, flipping clips in, and some guns, when you put a clip in it, and your bullet's ready to go. So I'm just telling this whole group that if you ever hear about another one of these meetings, I want to suggest this is how you do a gun show. You know, you make your weapon, because I never would, but you don't.
I'm impressed you own a gun, girl.
You don't guns on the table.
Oh, yeah.
You don't put them at the table
Without
ready to fire. They freaking were ready to fire. And the lady walks up to the 12 gauge, the shotgun, and just points it at Spencer. She's military too. I couldn't understand what she was thinking, but Spencer waved her off. And so here we had this table loaded with very cool guns, and the speech was. Consider putting, getting a gun in your house for protection, although. There's training involved in that kind of stuff, but
Everybody there.
don't put guns out on the table with ammo right with it. Just if you see that, just stop it. If you go to a gun show, you learn how to handle guns at a gun show in the public. I mean, kids could be there, adults don't know anything about guns, so just a tip, and be aware of that, because I still have nightmares over that, and it's I want you to share your experience.
Did you talk to Spencer also?
I just talked to the mayor, we had a.
Okay, I'll talk to Spencer. I'll talk to Spencer.
You told me they were bringing guns just a special.
There's a lot.
And talk about
So,
safety.
I was in a building once with one of our secretaries, and she had a new gun that she bought, and it was cleared. And we had another deputy that came in, and he was looking at it. It was Glock, it was 9mm. And at the time we had 40s, and he's just like, kept feeling the difference of the grip. It's like, it feels different. And as I'm walking out of the room, and I'm making a right turn to go down the hallway, I hear a magazine go in. I hear the slide go forward. And as I take one step, he pulled that trigger, and it shot just probably a foot in front of me through the wall. And then he looks at me and goes, "I thought you said it was cleared." And I'm like, "It was cleared." So when he told me about, magazines being loaded next to these guns, and these people putting us.
Well, and I have
you just
a group of 14, 15-year-old boys.
Yeah,
yeah.
we were gonna
Right
put
there.
cameras in the-
I'll talk to Spencer, you talk to Spencer, together, I think that will.
I'm the one that had the problem with it. I'd like to talk to him because I want to do it in the right way. They really did a good job.
Deputy.
They really did a good job.
Deputy Switch.
Okay.
They watch with Spencer. Helpful to get that.
I want to talk about number 7. And I want our chief to chime in on this. There are certain incidents, in fact, every incident that's potentially coming to our city, medical or earthquake, avalanche, any of these major incidents that affect our city. Do you think any of us are just going to run to the scene and be safe? We are told to stage at the station, especially on big incidents, avalanche, earthquake. Chad, would you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so, and this goes back to kind of a mutual aid agreement too we're working on, but. When there is a major event, I think that the priorities for emergency responders are first, check your family, make sure they're safe, and second, come to the station. Because we don't want everybody just running up there and running rogue, what we call it, fireground, right? So freelance, yeah. So come to the station where we can organize a plan, how to respond, and there could be other agencies involved. For example, search and rescue. They're also putting together, the county's putting together what they're calling a special response team. The SRT. That comes with a cost, so they're still trying to figure that out. As well as other agencies that we have mutual agreements with, and we maybe have other agencies involved. Any emergencies like that, check your family and come to the station, and we'll make a plan.
And wait for further instruction.
And
You
then,
need to tell all your people.
yeah,
Okay,
they know.
then they will follow the orders of.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we don't want them to come straight to the station until we call them.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
they're not responding.
They're gonna be
Yeah, yeah,
tempted.
right.
They're going to be tempted. So,
And just so you remind me, reminder that the last few years, Utah County Search and Rescue have been doing a lot of training up on our mountain. And so this is something that they're anticipating as well.
Yeah, we work with Alan and Chris Reed and we
Big and sorry.
working closely.
okay, so our next item. And I don't want to go into this more than 2 minutes here. There is a 512-acre parcel over in the Davis area where there's talk of it being developed. We're in the preliminary stages. this committee needs to be aware and provide input to whatever we can to keep kids safe over there on the street on Maple, if it turns out that they're going to use that road in any way.
So
Just-
can I take
just be
2
aware-
seconds?
Yeah,
That road sucks anyway, so
Yeah,
you're aware,
yeah.
it's just the commission.
So- so just prepare your minds and thoughts and maybe ideas when we get more information and the planning is further on that development. It's a major thing near our city.
I think one thing to note is that in the plan, there is a substation for a fire station there that's gonna be, so that will be very useful.
Which I thought was,
So that's, yeah, I guess negotiate, because I'm doing the news station now, I guess that replaces the old one, so.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
so items 8 and 9 are just kind of in that.
There be way farm one as well.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Wow, they're
We're making progression.
to the freeway with all that new development as well, so they're starting.
We can't even man the one at the top, so.
They just started it, the one behind Stokes is under construction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
It's supposed to be very.
so that's items 8 and 9. Just
Spreading out.
Not for one.
just an idea that this committee through Ted should also kind of push a wooey type of idea over there along with that.
Yeah, what is, what is,
Wildland urban interface.
I've never heard.
Okay,
I believe Jim and Fred start touching base about that, but I don't remember.
They did put in the development agreement that they had to have the hazard study and sure that that is mitigated. And Salem said that they would probably put in that ordinance after the two of you talk more.
And let's just see in their plans if they plan on putting hydrants and that kind of stuff. I assume they will, so. we need to watch on that. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about number 10. Number 10. In 2018, our city experienced something really incredible in that we're still here. And I've asked Jim to attend mainly to give us an update on, I'm looking for, can you tell Jim, I'm looking forward to a collection of writing that he's been working on, and it's gonna be an incredible document, a book, if you will, about that. Can you elaborate a little bit, Jim, on what your thoughts are and progress on that?
Yeah, well, the progress is that I'm done with the writing. Okay, I'm at it's about 2,000 pages,
Uh-huh.
right? But of those 2,000, there's probably about 150, 170 photos. Okay, and what it is just, I just made a copy of that. That's
cool.
What it is, it's a history book. It goes into it's a 360-degree look at how this community, how our small communities in southern Utah County respond to this fire. It goes into a lot of detail about the firefighters' perceptions of what they encounter, their experiences. It goes into the decision-making of the incident commanders. It goes into what firefighters are doing on this side of the mountain as well as on the other side, and the communities, how they respond, how they evacuate, where the services that are being provided by our joint associations. Okay, but it's not just a history book. It's a history book in, I call it, it's contemporary history. So it's where I collect and certify the experiences of those that are involved. In other words, I have signed statements, written statements, signed, certified that what the have told me is accurate. So it's tied down. So I can go to court on this if you want. Right. And sometimes the history is hour by hour, if there's a lot going on that day. And sometimes it's day by day. Starts week by week. Okay,
Mhm.
but not only is it a history book, but it's also a spiritual book. It's filled with um commentary, spiritual commentary, as well as secular commentary. And that's why the book is so long. All right. Now, my problem is I run into a technical problem, unfortunately. Um, during putting this together over 4 years or 5 years now, I run into a computer problem. And I'm trying to get this done before the computer dumps the whole thing. All right.
Mhm.
And what it is my computer doesn't allow me to, the program I'm using doesn't allow me to cut and paste anymore.
Mhm.
I want to do a lot of thousands of footnotes. It's really a history book.
Yeah.
So it tells the reader exactly where this information comes from for every couple of sentences.
Yeah.
So you're needing someone to help you with the IT part of it.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, it's a glitch. It's a glitch in the program, it's Office Publisher.
There's several people up here, maybe I could connect you with that are some really great in IT students.
Maybe debug.
That's, I'm done writing, I'm done interviewing. Okay,
Okay.
but it is phenomenal, I spent a lot of time doing cold calls.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I met Brian.
Uh-huh.
All right, but on the other side of the mountain also, just going up to people. In the neighborhoods, knocking on doors, asking what their experiences were. And then recording them and then transcribing. And then going back and getting statements signed. And then from that, that was my reservoir for then writing the story, as well as the documents. I was fortunate to be able to interview the federal incident commander who lives in South Dakota. So I interviewed him, others.
Well, when I learned that you were preparing this, I was really thrilled because this is something that happened in our city that needs to be remembered for years and years and years, just due to all of the facts you've learned. I have several copies on order when you're ready, so.
Oh, yeah.
I just need to give them to them by Christmas, but don't worry, it'll be good.
Well, like, thanks much to Cedar Fort Publishing. And they said they would publish, but they don't do anything over 500 pages.
So you're looking for a publisher too?
Well, so what I was thinking of doing is
I need to publish.
just going to BYU mail and print, where I've had books printed before for my family. And see how much they would charge to do that.
Okay.
I think it'd be pretty expensive with all the colored photos.
Let the city know what the costs are. It's worth it.
Let's get it out to everybody.
Consider that, yeah,
But you need to understand that this is not just a history.
yeah.
It-
I know, there's
There's
spiritual,
connotation.
and that's okay.
There's spiritual stuff in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Jim, did you use some of those stories that when the state was collecting all those stories?
Yes,
You used some of those, right?
I got permission from,
And then the DUP did some
Yeah.
and.
and I got those.
Okay, good. And then we had a bunch of stuff on our Facebook page. I don't know if you used some of any of our
Yes.
commentary from Facebook. Because that was our day-to-day, minute-to-minute,
Yes,
information. I might, I'll look and I have somebody I'm thinking of that is in publishing that I could ask if they were interested in this sort of stuff. Something to do with color. Perfect.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
but it's kind of book that
2,000 pages. I think.
it's not gonna be sold at Costco
Oh,
because no one really would be interested in this book unless they live in these communities.
They would sell it.
I have-
to Costco instead.
Our kids out of state that are living in your house.
Yeah, let's.
And we're buying, we're willing to
Oh, yeah.
pay a price.
Oh, absolutely.
So. Because I think it's significant.
But so the holdup now is when I'm doing the program I use does not automatically put the footnotes in.
That's ugly.
Okay,
Yeah.
So every time I make a change to a paragraph and add a footnote, I have to go and change all the footnotes. And so what I have is, I would say that I have 40 pages at font size 9. The footnotes.
Wow.
So,
All right. So I have to move these around a lot
Mhm.
and
The formatting is a mess.
I have to proofread them.
yeah.
And so I do need that cut and paste.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe with a little bit of input, you could consider.
Yeah, then it's streamlined. That's the only thing holding me up.
Disconnect. I think I can think of some publishers and some IT people that might be able to help with that.
But
Okay.
thanks for your tireless effort on that. I think it's
Yes.
a huge job.
Yeah,
Spence,
it's getting.
Spence Cannon was telling us.
No, it's just imperative. When I read it on PTSD, and that'll be worthwhile. So,
Well, my children are moving away and they went through it. And I would love for them to have that, to be able to remember because they were, you know, a little younger then, and then to share with their families what they went through. Because it's
It
not,
also goes into the history of Woodlands Fire Department.
yeah, it's
So.
Well, I think too, Jim, to your credit, that there's a larger audience than you might think. You know, it's not just Woodland Hill residents, it's Salem, and Spanish Fork, and Payson,
fire
and
agency.
and people
Yeah.
throughout the state who
So-
talk about it a lot.
You could go to chief's meeting and let them see a copy, give it to. Because we can learn from it too about the good and the bad.
It also goes beyond. I did Paradise too. So I traveled to Paradise.
Cause we gave all that money to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I studied there. And then I also looked at the fire that occurred in Gatlinburg a few years earlier. And so it goes into analysis of how different communities respond to their situations. And then it compares how our response, how Woodland Hills response. I give a value judgment to how our community responded.
Oh,
Okay.
Huh.
And it's good. It's really good.
yeah,
And all the things that our community has done to prepare.
yeah.
And then I do an analysis based on Paradise, based on their input. What were the things that went wrong there and what can we learn from them?
Mhm.
So that's in there also.
Okay, thank you very much for being here and sharing progress on that.
Exciting.
I'd like to move to number 11. I saw this on the news after Garrett told me about his experience over in Fairfield about just people responding to a medical incident. And I want you to share that story, Garrett. if you
I thought
would.
you were wanting us to stuff.
I know. Oh,
I looked at that.
That's like an hour and.
No, what I want everybody to just remind themselves of is medical calls are not always what they seem to be, and there was a sample that I wanted him to tell the incident.
So in October, there was a medical call that came in out by Malpass area, and then a gentleman, he called in and said, hey, I shot myself in the leg.
Yeah.
The medical out there comes from Eagle Mountain. There is a Cedar Ford, which is volunteers, so if they're available, not, but your main engines, your main. Come from Eagle Mountain. So they responded out there, so did our deputies, and they arrived about the same time, so medical was behind 2 deputies that were on this rough dirt road pretty much. And when they found the guy, he was walking down the road, so the deputies get out and they see that he has a gun in his hand. They get commands for him to drop it. He wouldn't, he just kept walking towards them. Finally, what he did is he raised the gun at the deputies and they ended up shooting and killing him. Medical was right there. I mean, obviously they helped with first aid and trying to save the guy, but yeah, it was just we as the sheriff's office, we had the majority of the medical calls out in that area come from the 5 Mile Pass area due to weapons and
That's where I used to go anyway, or
Yeah.
shooting. Yeah, part of that.
so that was just calling it in, the guy calling it in, usually it's someone else, but, I can't tell how many calls have been on where someone's accidentally shot themselves.
He actually, had he been shot?
That I don't know.
Oh.
The death by suicide,
We
Kind of
believe, I
think
think
that
the
one is-
family also. That's. Unfortunately, he's in his way out.
Part of that story he didn't tell you is he had just become sergeant and he's out there and he become. IC reporting officer to the news.
Well,
And you
wanted out the
reported on
radio.
KSL.
Why are you clear out here? And I said, this is Fairfield City limits. They didn't realize the town. Had hands for into it, so they're like, oh, this is yours. What's he good?
So your name got in the paper, so.
Nothing suspense can.
Uh,
That was my first PIO stuff.
he's learning the ropes.
So we just have those calls that,
Well, so I just had one, well, this summer in Salem that we got called out just for some he was sick. But we walked in and police had already been there, but anyway. Went in and he's got a gun sitting next to him and they had not cleared it, but. It was an eye opener because I had never really thought about that before, that how many crazy people there are and like. They can't just call and like.
Yeah, cleaning medical.
Oh, stop it.
That happened in the city, just a radar here in Woodland Hills. It has happened in this city, so.
So I don't know what we do about that, but it was a little bit of an eye opener to me to go, we really are sitting ducks when we go in there just going, let's go save somebody.
I had an experience where someone called in, they were suicidal. Well, let's go check on them, but I told the deputy was responding on it, he was named, and I said, these are the ones I worry about. He goes, why? The guy's calling for help. I said, it's always third party calling.
Yeah.
It's not first.
We don't
party.
usually help for themselves.
For me, I just.
And then they get mad.
Their stories just a lot
Mhm.
of ambush, right? It's not.
Mad.
And we show up and the guy walks out on the front porch with a handgun and shoots himself right in front of us. He just wanted us to see it.
Why,
Right.
make it a shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so. You never know what people are gonna do. That's the.
Yeah.
When there's a suicide call or even violence, whatever, we do stage. So I'm worried about. Yeah, we do stage for those ones. It's the ones that like, the crazy people are like, I'm gonna hurt somebody, and so it just comes across as a medical call, I don't know, I don't know that there's anything to be done about that, it's just.
And this doesn't look right, then.
Call, right?
Oh,
then.
sure, you should run walk out, but,
I'm sure this guy in Southern California has some experiences that you're thinking of that
there's a lot of crazy people.
that got your attention in life.
Yeah, well, do you train for door approaches and such?
Well, so many times we, no, the answer is no, and if you want to come train us, that would be great.
Yeah.
But also so many times, like, we just walk in a house, right? Like we knock or whatever, but we just walk in. Because we can't,
Sometimes,
sometimes they can't
they
get to the
can't get
door,
there,
right? They
yeah.
can get to the door, they can't, and that's kind of the problem, so easy to be ambushed, right? Because. They're sitting in their bedroom, how many calls do we go in? That we go in, we yell when we go in.
Yeah.
This is the MS, where are you? I'm back here, and we follow their voice, like, it's not ideal.
that is
But what
very
else do
common.
you do? Super common. So.
You guys don't carry weapons,
Nope.
right?
Not officially.
Not officially.
We're
not allowed to have any in my opinion.
Personally, I do know.
Seems to me that it's almost getting to be where anyone who's responding to an emergency situation can find themselves in that same.
Well, anybody's hurt. And that, and I hadn't really thought about it, I mean, until I walked in on this guy was sitting there with a gun. They didn't even see it, they were very
They-
shaken by the fact, but,
Salem.
and they were like.
Well, the one here,
Shaken,
we were
but
cleared in.
yes.
We were cleared in and the cops are human here. They just missed it.
It was just an eye opener to me to go, oh my gosh, we're all sitting ducks doing this.
And what I
One crazy person.
tell you as a former paramedic in Southern California, it's not that uncommon.
No,
No.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
everywhere, yeah.
So I don't know that there's, I mean, I don't know, I would love your guys's some perspective on that. if there is something that we could do to help with our safety.
You do have vests now, right?
Only Rachel.
Yeah.
Craig. Because then
And that was Rachel.
Rachel.
maybe Craig's a video.
So, I just want to say, thank you all for attending. I really appreciate you all being here. And time's up. If you have another item, we're gonna put it on next time agenda. So I'm not gonna go over, we're over. But I do want the agenda item to,
Let's put it on the future, that evacuation practice, right?
that'll,
Because we've been talking
that
about that.
didn't get to, so we're gonna put that on the next one, but. Again, thank you, everybody. Is there a motion for adjourn?
Yeah, let's leave.
Alright.
All right, so. Thank you much. Thank you for being here too.
And of course, I appreciate all you guys and what you do. I mean, everybody does a different thing here. I appreciate you guys. It's good.
Yeah, good.
Is that a nice door? What's that? And, oh, yeah, if you know how.
Yeah, push the red button.